All right, Paul, my man. Finally, we got you on the show. How we doing tonight?
Good. How are you guys doing?
We are blessed because we get to talk to the man himself. We get the journey, we get the story, and we get to talk all things baseball, which I don't know if you know much about this podcast. We're big into baseball these days, man. We're obviously lucky that we get to interview all kinds of athletes and guests. But I will say, we got back to back baseball episodes, so that's kind of where our groove is, dude. So with that, I'll jump into you a little bit, man. You're 6'10", man. Obviously,
Sure.
that's big. That's a lot of length. That's a lot of like cutting the distance to the plate. That's just a lot, man. Do people mistake you? Because I know I would. If I didn't know you or know anything about you, I would have just assumed you're a basketball player. Do people make that assumption about you all the time?
Oh yeah, man. Multiple times per day. That's for sure.
But can you hoop? I guess is the
Well, yeah,
thing.
I'm nice for
Can
sure.
can can you dunk it a little bit? Just
Yeah,
whoop.
yeah, just a little bit.
Lil,
Oh
he probably
man.
ain't got jump, Daniel.
Probably not, man. We joke all the time. We have, athletes come on and you guys are like, when it comes to athletic prowess, we just ask, could you just share a little bit with us regular folk? I mean, you don't need to be 6'10". You could be like 6'9". You could give Jim a half an inch, me a half an inch would be good, man.
If it works
Nah,
that
I
way,
need I
I
need
would
a full
definitely help you guys out.
I need a full inch, Daniel. I want to be 6 foot, bro. I don't want to be 5'11"
I,
and a half.
I hear you. Don't we all, man? Don't we all? But when it comes to long pitchers, 6'10", when you start getting up there to that height, there's got to be comparisons to Randy Johnson. Do you get those type of comparisons?
Oh yeah, I hear that all the time. If I can be half as good as Randy Johnson, then then I'll have a very, very fun and exciting life. But yeah, I hear that all the time. Randy
What it,
Johnson's obviously one of the best pitchers ever, so it's not
yeah,
bad here.
wouldn't we all, man? And the thing is like the first time I saw you pitch, I said, "Man, that looks like Randy J. That's Randy J out there." And Jim was like, "Nah, that's Paul, and he's his own guy, man. So don't even put him in that comparison yet, because and as I watched you grow and develop, man, and you're your own guy. I mean, obviously the height is Randy Johnson, and there are probably some other similarities, but you are your own dude on that mound, and you get after it, man. Um, with Randy Johnson being the closest comparison that a lot of people can make. Um, what do you think about the big unit as a nickname? Is that a good one? I feel like it is. I feel like that's a pretty defining nickname to have.
Yeah, I mean, having a nickname like that, I think is really cool because, well, not only like anytime you hear the big unit, like everybody knows who you're talking about. Like there's no mistaking anyone else for that. So I think if any nickname that is distinguishable, is to where you just know that person as soon as you hear the nickname, then that's got to be a pretty good
Do you have a nickname that you're like, man, I hope I make it big and like that's what people recognize me as?
one. No, not really. I'm sure someone will probably come up with one at some point, but
It's
I mean,
like
I
that.
mean, I just hear all the tall ones, Tall Paul, Paulie G,
Pauly G's the
PG.
one I hear. I like that one.
Yeah,
Well,
that's the one I hear the most.
the big flow, man. Look at that flow, man. We we put this thing on YouTube. We got some video going up, and people are gonna rank your flow up there with some of the best of them.
As a matter of fact, Hunter Elliott is our next guest. We're gonna have back-to-back flow.
Yeah. So I'll tell Hunter he's got to bring his flow game on Wednesday, because you've definitely brought it. You got a nice little set of neck curtains to go behind that hair, man. I like it, dude.
I
Um,
appreciate it.
yeah, but Paul, we didn't come here to talk about flow. We came here to talk about you, get your story, man. So let's go back to the beginning. Talk to me a little bit about where are you from?
I'm from Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina. It's a small town about 45 minutes outside of Raleigh, and yeah, it's just basically where I've grown up my whole life.
North Carolina, going to raise up. Take your shirt
Yes,
off.
sir.
twist it around your head like a helicopter. You heard that song?
No, I have not.
That song
Well,
is before he was born, Daniel.
I'm gonna need you to go look up Petey Pablo, and that's
All right.
that's you'll see it. It's all about North Carolina. But man, obviously family dynamics. You're the oldest of four siblings. You got a little brother Will, who's a college pitcher. Tell me about the competition. Obviously, if you have four siblings, there's got to be a lot of heated competition going on in that house growing up, right?
Yeah, I have three younger siblings, not four, three.
Oh,
But
three. Excuse me.
yeah,
So either way, I'm sure
there's a lot of
it
competition.
gets heated.
Oh yeah.
So what about it growing up? Like I had an older sister, Jim had an older sister, so it's a little bit different for us, but you know, given the fact that the competition is so heated with all you guys, what was it like? Everything is a competition, like eating your breakfast the fastest is a competition, getting dressed and ready is a competition, like is every little thing a competition? It's got to be, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have two younger brothers and a younger sister. Me and Will. Will's 20 now, so me and him were 2 years apart our whole lives. And, so we would throw together. We'd wake up, time for school. First one downstairs wins. Like all these races down the stairs, race up the stairs when it's time to go to bed. Basically, every little thing we would invent our own game with our cousins who live right down the road. Just all these little different things that we could do, but we always made it a competition.
Do you think little things like that growing up like made a difference in who you are today? Or do you think
Oh,
you would have been the same without any sibling?
oh no, it definitely did. I don't even think it. I wouldn't be close to here if I didn't have siblings. Will, especially, Will's been my throw partner since we both started playing baseball. We just made each other, I think, not only in sports but also in life. Like I can go talk to him whenever I need anything. He can talk to me. We can discuss literally anything. He's the one person I know I can tell anything to at any moment. So I was very blessed to have siblings for sure.
So obviously we mentioned the height. We talked about, being mistaken for a basketball player, but did you play basketball growing up or any other sports growing up, or was it just baseball?
I played basketball growing up, like rec basketball. I didn't really hit a growth spurt until high school, so I was never really took it seriously. I was decent, I guess. I just played rec, but I took baseball seriously.
So at what point do you go, obviously when you're growing up, you don't hit you just mentioned it, you don't hit this growth spurt till about high school, but was there a time prior to high school where you go, man, like I got a little bit of talent here, I got something, or were you just like, and we've had some guys come on here and they say, I was just an average kid. It wasn't until I was 14 or 15, or even some are like, it wasn't until my junior year of high school where I became something.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't really become something until about 2 years ago. I was a pretty average high school baseball player, man. I don't know. Like I grew up, I was always like middle of the pack on travel ball teams. I got to high school, did my 2 years on junior varsity and 2 years on varsity. And after I finished my senior year, man, I'm telling you, I didn't have one offer if I was done with baseball. I was ready to hang it up and accept it, although I didn't want to. But I mean, I'm sure we'll get into all that later. But no, I was never that guy growing up at any point.
Yeah, man. Doing the research, I came across a clip. I want to play it for you.
If we're gonna keep spending all this money for you to go to this school, it's gonna be you're gonna have to work hard. I'm not gonna watch you sit on the bench. And I was like, that's fair. That makes sense. So that whole summer, I just dedicated the whole summer to just getting better and throwing harder. And I went from 85 to like 92 in 3 months. And it's kind of like something clicked. I worked with this guy back home, Brandon Young.
So that was you talking about exactly what you just mentioned. You didn't become what you would consider, above average until a couple years ago. Obviously you mentioned you were talking about your dad wanting to invest money and time into something where you needed to dedicate more to it. So you did just that. You kind of revamped everything you did and you dedicated your time to baseball and to getting better. And you made this unbelievable like jump up until to low 90s throwing. And obviously that was probably where it started. But in high school, was there, let's start with this. Where did you go to high school? Because
I went to
I got so many questions about this. This baffles me a little bit. So where did you go to high school?
I went to Harnett Central High School in Andrew, North Carolina.
So most guys in high school, they kind of realize I got a little something, I can take this to the next level. Were you that type of person where you knew you had the stuff, or do you just believe like in yourself enough to go, I can compete at that level. I don't know if I have the right stuff for that level, but I can definitely go out and try to compete.
Oh yeah, my competitive fire, I don't think was ever really a question. I always wanted to go out there and compete and be as good as I can, but I didn't put it. I would say I didn't want to put in enough work off the field or when people weren't looking, or just like in my own time. I felt like I was just coasting on. I mean, I was a pretty good athlete naturally. I was tall, obviously. I had an okay arm, nothing like crazy above average. But I think I didn't want it. Like I said, I wanted it, but like what they always say, actions speak louder than words, and my actions definitely did say that I wanted it.
So, I mean, as a kid, if you're saying you want it, but like you're not actually, the actions aren't meeting what you're saying, was there a reason why, do you think, looking back on it, or was it like fear maybe, like, or was it just you just actually had to buy in and commit to it?
Yeah, that's what I think it was definitely. I didn't really ever buy in. I think that's what I needed to do. I always thought, yeah, I'll play in college. Yeah, I'll be a major leaguer. Like people always ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? When you're a kid, you always grow up. Yeah, I want to play in major leagues. I got my story. My freshman year, we had to write a paper on what we want to do when I grow up, and I wrote that I wanted to be a professional baseball player. And I'm on JV, like not even starting. Like my English teacher reads it, and she's like involved in the athletic department. She goes, "You need to redo this. Like this is not realistic."
Oh man.
Okay.
But what did you do with that paper?
I think that one at that time I was like I've always had the same monotone since I was 5 years old. Oh, what do you want to be? Oh, I want to be major league. I don't know if I believed it then, but it was definitely the easiest thing for me to write about because I've always known a lot about baseball stuff.
I mean,
It
would
was
you
easy, but
what would you say to that teacher that wrote that on your paper to be more realistic if you could see them now? Or have you seen?
I would say thank you. Thank you for helping motivate me. Thank you for helping me to always remember that quote. People tell it every time someone tells you you're not good enough, that should never ever prevent you or like hurt your grind or what you work for. That should always motivate you to be better. And if other people's words can just get to you like that, you're probably in the wrong profession.
So being that you saw yourself in the big leagues, there's got to be like a player you look to, like you looked up to. Who was your favorite player?
Justin Verlander has been my favorite player since I was 6 years old. My dad's from Detroit, so I've been a Tigers fan my whole life up until about a month and a half ago. But yeah, so Justin Verlander's always been that guy for me, man. He always goes out there, so much fire. He wants the ball every time. He'll throw you, like back in the prime, he's throwing 120, 130 pitches in the playoffs trying to help his team win. So I'm all about just doing whatever I can to help my team win. So he always like motivated me and like that competitive fire stuff I've always admired.
Paul, I heard of that guy. I heard he's pretty good. That Verlander guy.
To this day.
We noticed, your senior stats. You worked 29 innings. You posted 25 strikeouts. You had a 2.39 ERA. You also batted 326. You were not just a pitcher only, but you could swing the stick a little bit, man. Talk to us about your high school career, and what was it like playing both ways, and what was the transition like, knowing like, were you going to try to play both, or were you going to try to hit and pitch moving to the next level, or did you think at some point you're going to have to pick one or the other?
I mean, yeah, going through high school, it was always like we didn't have enough kids at school or enough good baseball players for people to only pitch or only hit. So pretty much everyone, it was like a two-way. I hit 326 my senior year, but my junior year I was 1 for 18. I had one hit. It was a blooper against Southeast Raleigh High School. And my senior year, yeah, I had a good average. I only had one double. I didn't have any extra base hits other than that. So I pretty much figured if I was going to go to college, it wasn't going to be for hitting.
Hey man, them hits in the stat book all look the same, man.
Oh, that's exactly right.
They all look the same. So obviously, you have a good enough, I think you downplay how good you actually were. I've heard lots of interviews and you say exactly what you told us. You didn't really start seeing this growth until a couple years ago, but obviously, you have offers, you get Pfeiffer to reach out to you, and that's where you ultimately chose to go. But why did you choose them?
Honestly, because they were the only school that offered me a roster spot. I didn't have any other options. That's why I chose them.
Hey, I
It was
mean,
that or retire. So I chose to go walk on there.
it looks like you made the right choice given the seat that you sit in today.
Yeah, I
Dan,
definitely
Dan,
did.
Daniel, I think there's something to that, man. I mean, we mentioned past guests when we talk about baseball, like a Houston Harding, who Itawamba, who he had never heard of, community college, was the only one that reached out. And Paul, you're one of 20 guys who only got that one offer, and it was a small school, and it's amazing how Daniel's told me this. Daniel used to be a scout evaluator and a baseball coach, and it's amazing how guys can get missed. I mean, it really is. And so luckily you were seen somewhere and were given an opportunity, but you had very limited time there at Pfeiffer before you ended up at Wake Tech. So how did that become a decision?
Oh yeah, so I went to Pfeiffer for my freshman year. Met a lot of great people, had a lot of fun there. But that freshman year, I was still like low velo, like 84, 85. I'm sure you guys can pull up my numbers. A pretty average season, like 4 something ERA. I think I had like 19 innings. But yeah, that was the summer where my dad was like, "Hey, like you're not on scholarship here. Like I'm paying the bill. Like I'm not paying to watch you sit on the bench." And so he really pushed me that summer to work my butt off. And with these guys that I still work with to this day, Brandon Young, where they've really helped me with my mechanics and velocity. And that summer, like you guys said earlier, I went from 85 to 92 in like 2.5 months. And I went back to Pfeiffer actually for that fall semester. And we had our pro scout day on like the 4th week, I think, of the year or something like that. And a bunch of my teammates didn't really know that I made like the jump that I did. And I was the first one that went and was like 90, 92 the whole time, touching. I think I touched the 3 there, and they were all like freaking out, like how did all this happen? And then so that off season, or that fall season, I realized that my dream is to actually play professional baseball or high level Division I baseball. Like it's gonna be really difficult to do from this level. So that's why I made the move to Wake Tech.
Daniel, that's really funny when you hear him say that, because imagine your teammate, you're like, man, Polly G, he ain't throwing nothing. They step into the box thinking they know what you got, and then next thing you know, you're throwing in the 90s and they weren't expecting. And it's like, whoa, this ain't the same
Take a
cat.
step back.
Yeah, could you imagine the teams with obviously with scouting you the previous year, and then you step into the rubber the next year and they're like, this ain't the same dude. Hold up now. Like,
But it's
but
amazing what coaches will do, because even, we mentioned some guys who had lower schools, but even a guy like when we had Dolander on here and talked about the coaching that he got from Georgia Southern to Tennessee and the jump he made. So it really just shows, if you can get the right coaching and you have the tools for those coaches to work with, which you clearly have, Paul, what can happen?
man, and I gotta ask, because my brain is spinning right now, man. Was it mechanical things that you did, or was it strengthening things that you did? What was it that you would say is the one big thing that made this big jump?
Well, honestly, it was a little bit of both. I wasn't like I never really worked out a lot or like worked hard like with my body, even though like you guys see me pitch, like I'm not exactly the biggest, strongest guy, but I think just like I started throwing more consistently, like a throwing program. I used to throw like up here, like over the top, and now I throw like on sidearm. So I dropped my slot a little bit, and it just felt more smooth. Like I got into more of a rhythm. And then every day, like I said this before, my dad made me run 10 sprints in the morning up the giant hill in our neighborhood, 10 sprints at night every day that whole summer. I still do it when I go home and run that hill. And just doing that and then retooling my mechanics with Brandon and Chris back home. It was a little bit of both, and they definitely both helped me out a lot. I owe them a lot.
Yeah, so you're making this transition, you're continuing to grow, you're continuing to get better, but you're not done because you go to Wake Tech, you have 8 appearances there, but here we are again. Now you're moving to Pitt Community, so why are we on the move again?
Well, at Wake Tech, you're looking at my stats. You could have mentioned that. I think my ERA was like 11.
No, I wasn't gonna do that to you, Paul. Don't do that.
Yeah, but see, with the velo jump, the control part didn't come with. So I think I had more walks than innings pitched, hit some guys. I never really was in tune. Like, I was throwing hard, but I would get like timid when I go up there on the mound. That was the first time I started seeing professional scouts with the radar gun behind the plate. I'd be like, oh, I have to throw as hard as I can. And then I was walking dudes, hitting dudes, and never really had a rhythm in it. So that was the 2020. And that was the COVID year. So when COVID hit, stopped the season in the middle. Thank God, honestly, for me, like, COVID hurt a lot of people, but COVID saved my baseball career, because the junior NJCAA announced that we were going to get a year of eligibility back. So it's my 3rd year, but I can go back and play another year of junior college. And so basically that whole summer into the winter, I just worked on my control. Like, we're in quarantine, so I'm just working on location with everything. And back in the fall, I was going to go. I was at Wake Tech again in the fall, and the coach told me, hey, we don't know if we're going to have the budget to have a season. Like, we obviously love to have you here, but like, we just don't know what's going to happen. And I was like, cool, but like, I'm not taking that risk. So that's how I ended up at Pitt Community College, which is one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Paul, I'll be honest with you, we've probably had, I'd say, over 100 baseball guests on this show. You would be the first one that said they enjoyed that COVID happened. you are that guy. But hey, it had to work out for somebody. So, one of the things I read about before we get into Pitt Community, obviously there was a clip, talking about your dad helping you out, but I read multiple articles and interviews about, man, you were working the whole time as a server through that to help pay your way. So first of all, I want to respect your grind to be able to work and play ball because you had a dream that you were working towards. But man, what was that like? Because, a lot of athletes don't have to do that and don't know what that's like.
Yeah. My dad's preached as a little kid, like, hard work. Like, you're not just going to sit around the house all summer. Like, you're going to get a job. If you want to go have fun with your friends, like, that's all cool. But like, I'm not just going to be shoveling out money for you to go have fun. So I was like, I respect that. Me and my brother worked at Panera Bread, and I worked at Olive Garden. I was a server there that whole time during COVID. I think it was from like July until December. I worked at the local Olive Garden near my house. And then when I transferred to Pitt, I actually worked at the Olive Garden in Greenville, North Carolina, which is where Pitt was, until literally the day after I committed to LSU, which was actually my last day at Olive Garden.
Dude, that is awesome. Like I said, I love it and I respect the grind. Some people just don't even know what you were willing to do. But with that, man, so you get to Pitt Community and it finally starts to come together, man. You have 14 appearances, 21.2 innings pitched, 35 strikeouts, just allowing 11 hits recorded, a 1.66 ERA, received honorable mention for JUCO All-American. So, I mean, you finally hit that stride, all that work that you'd been putting in came to. So with that, man, how does LSU come into the picture?
Oh, it's crazy how all that worked. So the first time I blew up was my second appearance of the season. We're getting beat like 13-8 in a midweek game, junior college, and I need to get some work. Coach puts me out there, and I struck out the side on 10 pitches. I threw all fastballs, and I was 94 to 96 and touched 97. And that was like, before that, I had never thrown harder than 95. So after the game, I get all these texts and calls from schools and scouts and stuff like that. They're like, hey, like, we had you up to 97, like, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, what? Like, what the heck? All my teammates are freaking out. So a bunch of, like, it started slow, like, lower level schools started calling me just with some interest. And then I emailed Alan Dunn at LSU randomly, like sometime in March. I was having a really good year, so I was like, yeah, maybe, like, I'd love to go to LSU. Like, it's a great spot. I've said this before. I emailed probably 150 different Division I schools that whole year during that spring, and LSU was like one of like 5 probably that hit me back from my emails, and I just started talking to Alan, Coach Dunn. I knew that I really liked LSU and like the culture they built there. Obviously, the prestige of all the national championships was really cool, but just I loved everything I heard about LSU. And then Coach Maneri offered me a scholarship that April, and so for me it was between LSU and Oregon State, and I chose LSU because also I want to throw this in. My brother's actually getting recruited in junior college right now, but not one Division I school in the state of North Carolina offered me a scholarship.
They didn't learn their lesson, huh? About
No.
these
They're all
these
telling my
Gervais
brother that
kids,
now.
man. They're late bloomers. I mean, that's
Yeah.
And what makes this story even better, Daniel, is, hearing him talk about the opportunity at LSU, because it was similar to Eric Raiselman's. He didn't think that he had a chance, but LSU was somewhere he wanted to go. And obviously y'all ended up teammates coming in there together. So that's just really cool for both of y'all. So, we talk about North Carolina, we talk about community college, and you talked about the prestige of LSU. Now that you're there at this point, are you more nervous or excited?
When I got to LSU, I would say probably a little bit of a mixture of both. I had never ever been close to that stage before. Going into that fall, my biggest thing was make the team, because like in the fall we had a little bit more than what the roster size allowed. So Jay told us, Coach Johnson told us at the first meeting, he was like, "Hey, like this, you see everybody here. Like some of these people aren't going to be here, and it's your job to go out there and win a job. Nothing's guaranteed, and that's all I could ask for." I wanted to go in there with the opportunity to win a job, and I had a pretty good fall. So thankfully, I was able to earn a spot on the roster. And going into the spring, I think going through the fall, I think I just got progressively more and more confident, knowing that my stuff played at this high of a level, even facing all these great hitters in the inter squads every week. I just gained more and more confidence going into the spring season.
Well, I could tell how excited you were to be there, because I was down there in the spring for a couple of the scrimmages, and a lot of guys in the bullpen were doing their thing, and you were standing over there, and my son was a part of a group of like 5 different kids that went over there, and you acknowledged them, you signed autographs, you talked to them, but I was, a little bit away, but I could see the big smile on your face and how much you loved engaging with them. And so just from that, I could tell how excited you were to be there, to wear that uniform. And so that told me a lot just in that moment. So, getting into the season, what's it like pitching that first game in Alex Box wearing that purple and gold?
Dude, I was so nervous. Oh my gosh. We were up like 19-7, I think, against Maine in the 9th inning, in the second game. And he tells me, "Dre's, you're in the game." I'm like, "Oh God, here we go."
That's a good time. 19-7 is a great time to come in.
Yeah. It was very that. I think I threw my first pitch about 52 feet. I spiked the crap out of it. And then like all the nerves went away. I ended up having a clean 1-2-3 inning. I got a couple of strikeouts, and then just like after that outing, it's like just this huge like sigh of relief. And I was like, "Hey, like welcome to LSU." Everyone's standing, and I struck out the last guy with everybody on their feet. It was really cool.
So being that you had the 1-2-3 after the spike, did you and Coach have a little fun about the spike?
Yeah, JK was like, "Nice first pitch there, man." He's like, "Were you nervous?"
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, unfortunately, you did have a tough outing. I did happen to see this one in Minute Maid Park against Baylor, but I'm not going to ask you about the struggle. What I want to ask about is pitching in a big league park, Minute Maid, at the Shriners Classic. I mean, just we're talking about how cool it is at the box, but now here you are in a professional stadium. Like, what's that like?
Dude, it was awesome, man. Just running in for the first time. We had already been there 2 days, and we had a blast, man. You saw the crowd when we played Texas. There was like 25,000 people there for a college game. It was unreal. Jordan hit the walk-off homer on Friday night against Oklahoma. That was insane. That was probably the most fun baseball game I've ever been a part of. Actually, one of.
He teed off on that thing, man.
That was sweet. And then, just Sunday, just warming up and then running in and just looking around, and you see how big the stadium is. Like, this is your dream. And while that, it wasn't statistically, it looked like my worst outing, but I came in, struck out 2 guys, just ran around on third, went 1-2-3 in the next inning. And then had a little bit of bad luck in the next inning. We could have turned a double play. We didn't. That would have got me out. I think it's a home run. So it wasn't the best outing, obviously, statistically, but just that whole experience, man, I think it just helped my confidence continue to grow going into SEC play.
Well, one of the things that showed the batters is, I actually, I checked it statistically, but I saw it with the view I had because I was sitting behind first base and had a good view of the wall. If y'all were at the box, y'all would have won that game because y'all's hitters wanted to try to go yard and kept hitting that warning track. Cruz did it, Barry did, and I was like, man, if these guys are anywhere else, but I was like, it shows you what it takes to get it out the park in the big league park for sure. But so you had a 4-1 record, man, 6 saves, 1.85 ERA in 39 innings with 52 strikeouts to 15 walks. So amazing the work you had to put in and the route you took, obviously, through this whole journey we've talked about to being one of the best guys in the SEC coming out of the bullpen. Let's talk about that LSU coaching staff. We've been giving props to Coach along the way, the coaches that you've had. Just how much were they able to help you just continue to elevate your game?
For me, the biggest thing was not only my game, but I think it was mental. And I talked to JK like in the fall and during the season, obviously. He's like, dude, you're 6'10". Like, you throw mid-90s. Like, you shouldn't be scared of anybody that goes up there. He said, your stuff's going to play at any level. And he would always just tell me this, like, drill this confidence in me. And when I would have success, like, Coach Johnson would always tell me, hey, man, hope you're ready tomorrow. We're going to you again. We're going to you again. And just continuously building on each success, I gained more and more confident, which I think is what helped my stuff play better. And obviously I had a very good season individually, but without Coach Johnson and JK, there's no way I would have been competed at that high level.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up the next day, because next thing I was going to go to was the Mississippi State series, is where you kind of put yourself in that closer role. We're sitting here talking about playing in the box, talking about playing in Minute Maid, man. Duty Noble is something special when it comes to college baseball, and you go in there and you get back-to-back saves. So, I mean, you're just talking about what it'd be like to be called upon. You were called upon and you did your job, back-to-back saves in Duty Noble. How'd that feel?
Dude, I mean, that was probably the most fun weekend of my life. That was insane. I think that's where you probably could say I got on the map. The first night, Friday night, we're down 2-1, ninth inning, 2 outs, nobody on. I'm chilling, playing light catch in case we tie the game. And then we get walk, hit batter, wild pitch, 2-run single, then Cruz hits a bomb. And I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Then we were up going into the bottom of the ninth, and it was just, I didn't throw one strike in warm-ups. I was just like, breathe. And then once I got the first pitch in for a strike, and it was just go. And just block out all the noise. And I had it 1, 2, 3, 9 the next day. Raisman and I think Riley Cooper and Trent Dittmeyer and Evan Fontenot, all of us had like pitched out of jams in every inning. And I came in for Eric in the 8th with 2 on and 1 out. And their best hitter was RJ Yeager. I think he was their best hitter last year. And I got him to fly out, and then I struck out Hancock in the 8th inning with 2 runners on. And then 9th inning, 4-3 game, I punched out the side, and that was still, I think, the best individual inning I've ever had in my life. That was just all juiced up. Their whole crowd was going crazy. I think they had like 14,000 or something there. And I was just like, I've never been more in a zone, I think, than I was then. And that was just winning that game and helping my team win the series was just so much fun. And then after that game, Jay comes up to me. He was like, hey, this is one of the reasons why I think you can be a big leaguer one day, and because you have the ability to go out and do this stuff on back-to-back nights. And he said, and I need you tomorrow if the situation calls for it again. And I was ready for them again the next day. Thankfully, didn't need me.
Yeah, I was there for it, and the first to speak on the Cruz home run, because you had mentioned that. I've told everybody who's came on here that was one of the most awkward situations for me, because I'm an LSU fan. Because I was getting seats from a Mississippi State dad, Cameron James dad, I agreed not to wear purple and gold. So I was wearing a gray hoodie. So you can even see pictures of me and Cruz and Beloso and all them that night wearing the gray. But I'm standing between Greg James, Cameron's dad, and Luke Hancock's dad when Cruz hits that home run. And it was the most awkward feeling because Cruz is my guy and he hits the home run. And I don't know how to act. And then my phone starts buzzing and it's George Cruz, like, where are you at? And I was like, I'll be there. I'll be there in a minute. And it was great because I went over there and you talked about Eric. And when y'all won, when Eric came over there, listening to him talk about how jacked he got when they were doing the count, because a lot of opposing crowds did that, but that was where it got the loudest because, like you talked about, 14,000. And what they didn't get was every time they did that, he just got more fired up. So
we're juiced.
And so to see him do that, and then you come in and close the door, and that was a game, like you said. I mean, it was 2-1. It was looking like it might not go y'all's way, and it just showed really the resiliency of LSU as a whole. And then for you to come in there and close it off, and then the next day come back and do it again. So the season had high expectations. We know LSU, it is Omaha. That is the expectation. I was at regionals, got to see you. First saw the save against Kennesaw State, but your next outing, you were called upon to do a much bigger task, one that you're not used to. And you obviously handled that. Talk about what it's like to come in early in an elimination game where that you're gonna have to put some innings in. You're gonna have to put the team on your back. What's it like to come in that role versus closing and know that you got to give your team as many innings as you can?
Yeah. First of all, the Kennesaw State game, that was the most exciting game. That was insane.
If I'm not mistaken, you had to get out Hatcher to close that game, didn't you?
No, he was on deck.
Okay.
Jay came out and visited because he was the tying run. He was on deck. He was like, you better get this guy out. Gotcha. So Hatcher obviously killed us that whole game. But the next day, what was it? Southern Miss. We were down 4 in the 9th inning and we tied it. And then I pitched the 10th and got a shutdown inning. And then we ended up walking them off after that. But then, 2 days later in that game 7 against Southern Miss, Jay had actually, Coach Johnson had called me the night before. And he was like, hey, man, like, as soon as there's trouble, we're going to you, no matter what. I don't care what inning it is. He was like, you need to be ready. I was like, awesome. Sounds good. And, so he calls me I got sitting down in the bullpen right after they hit the leadoff home run to start the game. So, like, the first pitch of the game, he's like, so Mikhail battled through anything, and Coach said thought it was time to make the switch when I came in the game. I didn't have my best stuff that game. It's a game I think about a lot. I think I had 3 walks. Something I really pride myself on is throwing strikes, but I think I allowed 1 run in 3 innings. Worked out of 2 second and third jams in back-to-back innings to strand runners. And then got through the 6th, and when I left, we were up 4-3, and Coach was like, hey, like, that's it. Like, thank you. Like, you gave us everything you got. Today I always think about it, man. I just wish I'd have been like, hey, like, I can give you more. I can give you more. But
Daniel, you can confirm. I texted him. I didn't think it was time for you to come out. I didn't.
He told me that in my exit meeting. He said that was probably his biggest regret, was taking me out of that game. And I was like, it made sense. I mean, that was my longest outing of the year. I was at 58 pitches or something.
In hindsight, it's always easy, but like, I mean, the guys that were coming in, whether you're talking about Vetmeyer, Risman, you trusted those guys just like he does. And, it happened the way it did. And, we asked Eric, what happened. And he said, really, that Southern Miss team could hit. People didn't give them enough credit. He still, and I think you would agree with this, and it always sounds bad when you're the losing team, but felt like y'all were the better team. You just didn't, you just didn't close the door on them. He went as far as to say that he thought that it was undoubtedly going to be you guys and Ole Miss for a rematch. And so I hate that it didn't happen. But it leads me to talk about coming into the draft. I follow you on social media. I've seen some posts or whatever. LSU has all this talent coming in, and you have an opportunity to come back. So, first let me ask you, where were you at on draft day as that comes upon us?
I was at home. I had actually talked to Jay, came and talked to me in the Cape and had breakfast with me. Wes Johnson, the new pitching coach, came up to the Cape, had breakfast with me and Grant Taylor. Like, he had always said, like, I want you to be a pro. I want you to go chase your dreams. But if the situation comes back where you think that you'll have a better opportunity if you come back to school, obviously you're gonna close again next year. You'll have your job. You're gonna be my guy, one of my guys out of the bullpen again. He said, but just know that no matter what you do, I'll always love you and I'll support your decision. So I'm so grateful to him for that.
So you obviously know I asked that because when you get picked in the 12th round, you have a hard decision because of what you just said. I mean, they are preseason ranked number 1 for a reason. They are legit. And like you just said, you could be the closer on that team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just how hard is it? I know it's every kid's dream. Like you said, you want to be a professional baseball player, but you know that you can, still do that, but you can get maybe a national championship along the way. So, I mean, just how hard was that decision?
Let me answer it for you. Not hard at all. I read the post. I read what you wrote, and it was very heartfelt. But this is not going to be a popular take. We all know what you were going to do.
No, you didn't follow him close enough, Daniel, because that was his second post. That was his second post.
I know. I've heard people say it all the time. They say I'm coming back, or I'm not coming back, and then they go wish-washy. But in reality, we all know.
Poor Leah Van, who covers LSU, she was writing about how he was coming back and she was excited, and then the next day she goes, "Never mind."
Yeah, it was no, that was not an easy decision. Actually, I feel so bad because I told Coach Johnson I was going to come back the day before. So if that tells you anything. And then the next day, he called me. He's just making sure everything's good. Like, no, and obviously we're not out of the water yet. But I told him, like, I didn't know that you could sign for overslot on the third day of the draft. I thought it was one set number you had to sign for. And obviously, when you go into the draft, you have a set number that you're going to sign for. And if you don't get that number, you're going to go to school. And I communicated with Coach Johnson that third day. I was like, hey, like, if I don't get this, then I'm coming back 100%. Like, I didn't know. I'm sorry that the door is still open, but I had to be open and honest with you. And he understood it. So he took it so well. And even when I got drafted, he called me, congratulated me, told me he was proud of me, told me I'm always welcome back at school to go work out and everything. And I'll always be appreciative of him. He's definitely the best coach I've ever had, and I'll always be grateful for him.
Yeah, no doubt. And man, I as an LSU fan, I'm appreciative of what you did. And like Daniel said, man, when you get the opportunity, ain't no one ever gonna bat an eye that you jumped on it. So with that, man, you've had great success already. Your first outing, you threw a scoreless inning, doing what you do best, and promoted up to St. Lucie. I see that y'all got a big game against Florida for the Florida State League Championship tomorrow night at Clover Park. But I gotta ask first, because I see, I talk about following social media. I seen you messaging Cade Doty. Are you hoping to get an opportunity in that game to go against your teammate?
Of course. Of course, yes. Cade was my roommate in college. So as soon as they won, so we played them in the finals, we went there for game 1 yesterday. And we traveled up there. What day was that? Saturday. We traveled up on Saturday. Me and Cade went out, got some dinner, and watched the LSU game together and hung out. It's just like old times. It's great to see him. It was me, Cade, and Blade Tidwell. He's been on the show. Blade's my good buddy. Me and him hanging out all the time here. Obviously, he got drafted by the Mets as well. So me and my best friends here. Me and him do everything together here. And then, we won last night. We actually had a go-ahead 2-run homer in the 9th inning to win the game. And then tomorrow, I'm sure I'll be out of the bullpen early. So I doubt it'll look as similar to the Southern Miss game, but I'll definitely be ready to go. And hopefully I'll get the opportunity to face Cade, because I faced Barry twice already this year when we faced Jupiter. And first time I got him pop out. Second time he hit 103-mile-an-hour line drive right at the center fielder. So we got him out. But it was the hardest hit ball I've allowed in pro ball so far.
That's got to be the most fun thing. I mean, your ex-teammates, and then you get to go against each other, and good fun competition for bragging rights, man. And so that's cool. And I think I remember seeing the Barry thing. Well, I hope obviously y'all win, because Kay's not on the show, so I ain't got to say that I'm rooting for Kincaid. But I hope y'all win, and man, I hope I see that y'all got the opportunity to face each other, and we'll see if y'all do and see who gets the bragging rights. But man, y'all go take care of business tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Where's tomorrow's game? In Dunedin or?
No, it's in St. Lucie here. We played game 1 in Dunedin. Cade actually hit a home run in game 1, dead center. He hit a 2-run homer.
I love that they still call him King K too. It followed with him.
Yeah, he's the man. I love Cade. He's one of my best friends to this day.
Well, Paul, man, it's been a great episode, dude, and we got to end
For
this the
sure.
right way, the same way we end with all of our guests. You ready to play a game?
Yes, sir.
All right, game is very simple. It's called this or that. I give you
right.
two options. You choose one of the two options. Just got to be decisive. Can't say both. Can't say neither. You got to pick one.
All right.
All right, here we go. Softball question to start.
right.
The original question was, would you rather have pizza or tacos? But I mean, I guess I gotta throw Olive Garden in there. Would you rather have Olive Garden or would you rather have tacos?
Olive Garden,
Sure, sure.
for sure.
What?
Gotta wrap my people.
Yeah. What is the best thing on the Olive Garden menu? Is it still like everyone goes there for breadsticks, or is it like they're so like are we missing something secret like that only the employees know about?
Uh, hmm. I think no, everything they order pretty much everything. Obviously, they're always like, "Hey, where are the breadsticks?" As soon as you walk up to their table. But for me, I always get the shrimp Alfredo. It's money to me. I love it. It's my favorite thing to get there.
Who has better hair flow, you or Dylan Cruz?
I'm gonna say me, of course. I gotta say me.
Gotta bet on yourself, right?
He's got good hair though.
He does. He does. Who is scarier to face, Dylan Cruz or Kay Beloso?
No, K. Doty.
Or Kay Doty, sorry.
Cruz. Doty's scary too though, but Cruz, he hits the ball so hard.
So who's scarier,
Cruz.
Kay Doty or Jacob Berry?
Barry.
Who's the most intimidating and scariest guy? Is it Dylan Cruz over Jacob Berry? Just
So I can't say both, man. That's
Nope.
difficult.
I mean, you were really adamant about Cruz. Like, I didn't even get the second part of the question, and you thought I was asking about Dylan. Like, that dude,
No, yeah.
he's in your head. Like,
I think Dylan.
no, he's unbelievable,
No,
man.
I gotta say Dylan. I mean, he's literally the best baseball player I've ever seen.
Paul, having him on the show, and all he could talk about was how he needed to improve. And we read off his stats just like we did you. And he was obviously freshman player of the year, and all he could talk about was how he needed to improve. And it was like, this guy, man, like, and he's so humble.
And he did it too. He won the SEC Player of the Year second year. He'll probably win the Golden Spikes next year.
Hey, would you rather go to the beach or the lake?
Lake.
Would you rather watch a baseball movie or a non-baseball movie?
Baseball movie.
What is your favorite movie of all time?
For Love of the Game.
Nice.
Is that your favorite baseball movie and your favorite movie, or
Yeah.
Okay,
But,
it's a good one.
Clear the mechanism, man. Got to.
yeah, I actually tell myself that a lot.
No complaints here. Would you rather go to any concert or any sporting event?
Any sporting event.
What sporting event is on your bucket list? What's the one thing that you got to do?
Go watch the Tigers win the national championship in Omaha.
Ooh. All right, so he's gonna get it crossed off this year. I heard that. Let's go.
Oh, wow.
I
Here
don't
we
know if
go.
I'll be able to go this year. Hopefully I won't be able to go, but hopefully sometime in the future.
Well,
That's something I definitely want to do though.
Given the trajectory over my 38 years on this earth, I'm pretty sure LSU is going to win it again.
I'd like to think so.
Probably multiple times, or at the very least, they're going to be there and have the opportunity.
Paul, I can actually look. Daniel will give me credit. People don't like me because I'm very arrogant, smug, and proud and brag on myself. These guys will tell you I loved when I went and found the post of preseason picking Ole Miss before last year to win it all. And so go ahead. I told D1 Baseball, Spitting Seeds podcast, all of them, to put me down for LSU. Just go ahead and do it. I'm going to do it back to back.
Put me down for that too.
But when I did, what's funny is when they asked me to do my rankings with Randy, the one who's not here, we both compared our rankings, and he had LSU at 1 and I had LSU at 2. He said, why you got LSU at 2? I said, number one's a curse. So I had Tennessee there because he's a Tennessee guy. So I was like, I hope LSU finishes the season at number 2 because that number 1 beside it since 1999 has been a problem.
Yes, it has.
Would you rather be a hero or a villain?
Hero, for sure. Hero.
Who's your favorite hero?
Jesus.
Ooh. He's the first one, and he has now won this. I'm retiring the question, Daniel.
Man, I'm gonna not allow Jesus because nobody like who beats Jesus. Like,
Other than Jesus.
yeah, who is second? Not a close second to Jesus.
Like superhero.
Yeah.
Iron Man's my favorite superhero.
I mean, I tell you what, when people say their mom or their dad, that's always an amazing answer too. Like you can't argue that one either. That's no different than the Jesus thing. If somebody says their mom or dad, hey, that's what's up.
Yeah.
All right, last question before we let you bounce, man. Would you rather have massive success on accident or modest success on purpose?
I'm gonna say probably modest success on purpose because that for me on my inside I'll know I worked for everything that I could get and I don't want to be lucky. I want to work for everything that I get and I don't want stuff to just be handed to me. So I'm gonna say modest on purpose.
I can respect that decision, but our one of our co-hosts, Randy, would phrase this question in a different way, and he would say, I could give you $80 million, or you can work hard and earn $20 million. What would you do?
I'm taking the $80 million.
Well,
so that's massive success on accident, my friend.
Yeah.
No, because $20 million is still massive success.
It ain't $80 million massive success.
Okay, that's a tough question. When you phrase it like that, then yes, I would rather have $80 million. That's an interesting way of saying it.
Yeah.
Hey, there's no right or wrong, man. That's part of the game. We like to throw curveballs at you.
We really used to mess people up. The question used to be, and we changed them all. It used to be, would you rather be the first pick in the draft, but you had to cut loose all your friends, or be the last pick in the draft and you could keep your friends? What do you think about that one?
That's a really tough. You should ask Bill in that question if you ever get him back on.
We did ask him that question. He said, keep his friends.
Yeah, I think that's what I would say. I think I would have to keep
that's what you have to say, because your friends are going to listen and they're going to know that you'd cut them loose if you said it.
Well, yeah, but you probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for your friends.
Oh.
So you got to get that.
Come on, Paul.
A lot of my friends, I don't think I'd be here.
You're a smart dude, man. Like, you were in the draft. You know the difference between the first pick and the last pick.
Oh yeah, trust me, I do. I know the difference between Blade and me.
Look, man. Hey, Jim's been my friend forever, but if somebody offered me that deal, I would peace out with him real quick and not be sad about it. No, I kid. I love my friends. I'm a friend guy, so I probably pick that way. But Paul, man, anything you want to plug or promote before you get out of here?
No, I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity to come on and share my story. You guys are doing great things. Everyone I've talked to that's been on this podcast has been spoken very highly of you guys and recommended it. So I've always wanted to get on here, and I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. Another, great interview. Another, obviously stud that's out there. We're glad we got your story, and we're glad we were able to share it with everybody. But since you don't want to plug yourself, I'm going to do it for you. If you want to know what Paul Gervase is up to, all you got to do, pop your phone open, go on over to Instagram at Paul_Gervase. Or if you want to see what the St. Lucie Mets are doing, you want to see him doing this thing on the bump, go over to Instagram at St. Lucie Mets. And tomorrow night, 6:10, Florida State League Championship, Dunedin Blue Jays coming to your home. I'm predicting here. I'm predicting it to be a close game, but I'm predicting that the St. Lucie Mets are going to be victorious. I'm going to say it's going to be a 3-1 game. 3-1.
I'll take it. Blade's on the mound tomorrow. So
that really makes me feel good about it.
We got a good chance to win.
3-1. That's what you got. That's what you've heard here. Paul, my man, we appreciate you. If there's anything we can do for you along your journey, please reach out to us, and we'd love to have you back on.
For sure. Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. That's Paul Gervase, everybody. If you like hearing Paul's story, or you just like hearing us average Joes talk X's and O's, please like and share the podcast on Facebook, retweet us on Twitter, listen and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. As always, comments, ratings, and feedback is always welcome. We'll be back next time. We got episode 15 coming at you, and we are going to continue the baseball trend. We're bringing on Ole Miss baseball star and national champion Hunter Elliott. He'll be joining us. This has been the Off the Bench podcast. As always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We out.